morning, our beloved viewers. It's 9 p.m. You're watching on Live RTD channel. Welcome to this English news edition. Here are the major stories. The President of the Republic received a delegation of investors from Monaco. The President of the CNE held a meeting with the Vice President of the CNE of the 5 region. And on the international scenes in Turkey, death tolls rise to over 16,000. Those were the headlines. Thanks for joining us in our newsroom. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Margeer, received a delegation of investors from the city of Monaco. His Excellency, the President of the Republic, received this morning at the Presidential Palace a high-ranking delegation of investors from Monaco. This meeting, which took place between the head of state and the investors from Monaco, was an opportunity to discuss the importance of economic exchange for Djibouti and the Principality of Monaco, as well as to define the investment sector in our country. The head of state also discussed with Monaco investor to the main topic of Djibouti Monaco Forum, which was organized yesterday in Djibouti, which aims to bring together economic actors and investors to discuss and identify strategy, commercial and economic asset with the aim of creating fruitful cooperation between the Republic of Djibouti and the Principality of Monaco. The executive director of the Monaco Economic Council, president of the Monaco Businessman, the club in Africa, and also several Monaco investors participated in these sessions. On the Djiboutian side, the president of the Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Yusuf Moussa Douali, and the Secretary General of the Presidency of the Republic, Mr. Mohamed Abdallah Wais, but also the advisor of the President and other guests participated in this meeting. In an intervention with the national television, the executive director of the Economic Council of the Principality of Monaco stressed that these investors carry out a fruitful exchange with the Djiboutian official with the aim of establishing cooperation and exchange in various sectors, especially economic and trade between the two countries. He said, we have exchanged with the President of the Republic the issues of common interest, especially trade exchange and exclusively the investment of but also other opportunities available in Djibouti. In addition to advancing cooperation in the future, we also touch on other issues such as tourism, banking, and industry at this meeting in a platform for launching joint cooperation between the two countries. Djibouti and Monaco are the important region for their strategic location, he concluded. For his part, the president of the Business Club of Monaco in Africa, Mr. Frederic, said and indicated that Djibouti's investment potential in one of the assets that Monaco investors take advantage of in order to stabilize a fruitful partnership. We have extensive experience in the file of economic of African countries and ways of trade exchange between us and these countries, he said. But personally, this is the first time that I visit Djibouti and we discuss with the head of state common goals in the important areas and international and regional issues, in addition to the importance of the African continent in the near future, which will become the heart of development in the world. The Republic of Djibouti is also among these countries that have a bright future, so it is important to take advantage of the investment opportunities, he said. For his part, the president of Djiboutian Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Yusuf Dawali, pointed out in an interview with the national television to the importance of a meeting held between the President of the Republic and the delegation of investors from the Principality of Monaco. And he said that this partnership stabilized between Djibouti and the Principality of Monaco will facilitate the upcoming business meeting and communication with the main partners to support cooperation strategy, enhance organizational and understanding. He also added that this meeting comes after we held a bilateral summit yesterday, Wednesday, between officials of the Principality of Monaco and Djiboutian Chamber of Commerce. This visit aims to enhance trade exchange between the two parties and to establish a platform and economic bridge between Monaco and African countries through Djibouti. The delegation pledged to boost these economic activities on the continent. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Margili, participated in the 32nd session of the Summit of a Forum of Head of State and Government members of the African Pre-Consideration Mechanism in a speech he delivered at this virtual summit. For more details, let us follow with our colleague Dini Moussa.
Monsieur le Président, Mesdames et Messieurs les chefs d'État et de gouvernement, Mesdames et Messieurs, je souhaiterais de prime abord présenter mes sincères félicitations.
I would like to begin by extending my sincerest congratulations to our brother Julius Madabiu, President of the Sister Republic of Sierra Leone and Chairman of the African Peer Review Forum. I would also like to congratulate him for his proposal endorsed at the Forum of Heads of Government at the 16th Extraordinary Session of the AU Assembly, to focus on the challenge of unconstitutional change of government and rightly make it the theme of the third edition of the African Government's Report. Under your leadership, Mr. Chairman, our forum continues to successfully fulfill its mandate, and in moving forward, governance in Africa has improved as illustrated by the accession of new countries to the APRM. Finally, I would like to take this opportunity to thank once again the Focus Review mission led by the Honorable Fatima Khadija, the APRM panel and Secretariat, and the strategic partners. Their many contributions and support, complemented by my governance comments, have made it possible to produce this focused evaluation report on budget decentralization that is before you today. Mr. President, as you already know, fiscal decentralization was identified as a challenge to be met in my country and was the subject of the first targeted review mission of our body in January 2019. As a result of a clearly stated political will, decentralization is not, as you will agree with me, a one-time approach, but rather a long process intended to deepen the dynamics of good governance, democratization, and local development. This is why, before embarking on the path of budgetary decentralization, many essential prerequisites had to be implemented. Indeed, from the very beginning of independence, the constitutional law and then Ordinance number 77.60 and 23 November 1977 provided for the creation of municipalities and grassroots communities which had administrative and financial autonomy. Then the Constitution of September 1992 in its Article 85, 86, and 87 initiated the decentralization process. When I became Supreme Judge, I launched the first phase of this process. To do this, we set up a ministry in charge of decentralization, which, based on a strategic framework for the implementation of the decentralization process, immediately proceeded to create local management bodies called Provisional Regional Councils with a view to strengthen the institutional basis of decentralization. In 2002, 2005, 2006, and 2011, we adopted several laws on the decentralization in the Statute of the Regions or the Special Statute of the City of Djibouti, and finally on the transfer and distribution of powers between the state and territorial communities. A decree on the powers of prefects completed the institutional arrangements already in place. For the first time in our country's history, we held regional and communal elections in 26. This historic date marked an important and decisive step in the establishment of the decentralization process in Djibouti. Since then, regional and communal elections have been organized every 5 years, notably in 2012, 2017, and 2022. At the end of these elections, a number of competence formerly held by state representatives were transferred in local authorities. This include, among others, the civil registry, roads, market management, school, canteen management, and the management of public property. In addition, in order to ensure that a wide range of the population has access to public services, the state has progressively devolved the following technical services such as education, health, gender, promotion, AMFIP, social affairs, and agriculture, livestock, and fisheries. Mr. President, the success of all the advances I have just listed has encouraged us to take another step forward, that of fiscal decentralization. In addition to the financial resources already transferred by the state, we have given the regions the possibility of collecting fiscal and parafiscal resources through the 2017 Finance Act. We have also transferred to the regions the property tax on built-up properties, the property tax on non-built-up properties, and the patronage on Class 9 and 10. In this perspective, and in order to accompany the transfers, the state has first of all proceeded to the deconstruction of its tax services through the opening of regional tax centers in the 5 regions of the interior. It has then made available to the executive of the region's experienced agents to establish the revenue. It should be noted that prior to the establishment of these centers, as soon as for the taxable matter of all transfer taxes were conducted by the central tax services of the state in each region. As of 2018, all regions have therefore been able to carry out tax collection operations. In this respect, we are pleased to note that the possibility offered to the regions to collect fiscal and parafiscal resources have been beneficial to them. They have in fact seen their own resources increase as a result of the increase in revenue from taxable matter. These resources will become increasingly important as the economic potential of the regions is developed and the range of taxes to be collected is broadened. Was largely facilitated by the adoption of the Regional Development Plan in 2017. The latter was a result of a broad participatory process in which all the driving forces of the region were involved in order to have a shared vision of the major strategic directions of the region's development. For the period 2021-2025, it has a triple function, namely a function of reappropriation, a function of restructuring, and a function of reference. Finally, we have provided each region with a 5-year RDP adopted by the Regional Council and validated by the Prefect of the region. The RDPs are also part of the Strategy for Accelerated Growth and Employment Promotion, SCAPE, 2015-2019, the first instrument for the operationalization of the Djibouti Vision 2035. They are taken up and constitutionalized in the new Development Plan 2020-2024 in Djibouti EC. Of course, there is no lack of challenge to be met. I will mention in particular the cultural and administrative constraints that decentralization faces. The institutional, administrative, human, and financial capacities of local authorities also need to be strengthened, as does communication with a view to improving the ownership and participation of all stakeholders in the decentralization process. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, I can assure you that decentralization and transfer of powers and resources for local authorities remain a priority of my government's policy in order to create the conditions for sustainable and harmonious development through the national territory. In this regard, the recommendations of the Focus Review Mission on Decentralization, as well as those that will emerge from this forum, are welcome and will be implemented. Thank you for your attention.
Today, Thursday, the Minister of Interior, Said Nur Hassan, made a statement to the national television in which he indicated that the electoral campaign for the parliamentary race schedule for February 24 will start tomorrow, Friday, February 10. For more details, with our colleague Dini Moussa.
Compatriotes, la campagne électorale pour les élections législatives
Dear citizens, the electoral campaign for the legislative elections of February 24, 2023 will start tomorrow, Friday, February 10, 2023 at midnight and will continue until Wednesday, February 22, 2023 at midnight. The democratic way that our country has chosen implies that the word is given periodically to the voters through polls that express their choices in accordance with their aspirations. During this electoral campaign, 2 lists will be in competition. It is about the UMP, Union for the Presidential Majority, which presents candidates on the whole of the 6 constituencies of the country, and for the UDJ, Union for the Democracy and the Justice, which presents candidates in the electoral district of Djibouti City in the district of Arta. I ask the parties and political groups to lead a peaceful electoral campaign marked by tolerance, fraternity, and respect for the opponent. I would also like to inform you that the National Communications Commission, in accordance with its prerogatives which are set by the legislative text in force concerning political pluralism, will ensure on the one hand the equitable access of the groups and parties to the media, and on the other hand the access of all the citizens on the whole national territory to the program of the groups and parties which participate in the elections. To this end, I will ensure strict compliance with the proper conduct of this electoral campaign, and I call on the heads of lists to demonstrate good citizenship and a sense of responsibility. I cannot end my speech without asking again our voters to collect their voters' cards at the collection centers located in the sub-prefectures of the capital and in the regions. To this effect, I would like to remind all our fellow citizens that according to the Djiboutian Constitution, voting is not only a right but also a duty.
The chairman of the Independent National Election Commission, Ms. Hanan Ali Maidel, held an important meeting with the members of the commission in Djibouti, the capital, and the interior region at the People's Palace. The purpose of this meeting was to prepare for the upcoming legislative election that will begin tomorrow. The Independent National Election Commission played an important role in the electoral process in the country by ensuring that the elections are fair, transparent, and fair. Mr. Hanan Ali Maidali is meeting with his assistants from various governorates demonstrate the Council's commitment to ensure the participation of all citizens. His Excellency the Minister of National Education and Vocational Training, Mr. Mustafa Mohamed Mohamud, sponsored today at the occasion of handing over guide books with the explanatory guide for the literacy program and to the Secretary General of the National Union for Djiboutian Women, Ms. Fatima Moussa Abdi, the ceremony which was held at the Resources Production and Media Center for the Ministry of National Education witnessed the participation of the Secretary General of the Ministry of Education, Mr. Mohammed Abdallah Mahyoub, the Acting Director General of the Center, Ms. Radwa Mahmoud, and senior personnel from the General Inspector for the Public Education. During this occasion, the Secretary General of the United Nations, Ms. Of the UNFD, Ms. Fatima Moussa Abdi thanked the Minister for these personally who contribute to the advancement of the literacy program and who spared no effort to support the national program for the eradication to the illiteracy since the year 2018. The program is expanding every year thanks to the effort made by the ministry. The ceremony concluded with the official handover of books and literacy guide to the Secretary General of the university. For his part, the Minister of National Education and Vocational Training, Mr. Mustafa Mohamed, confirmed that his ministerial department will contribute to support this noble cause of fighting illiteracy. This occasion is an opportunity to expand and the diversity to teaching content and achieve better effect in this daily battle. He also indicated his unwavering commitment for this case. Yesterday, the Ministry of Women and Family concluded at the People's Palace the work of National Symposium of the Harms in Internet to children and adolescents. The closing ceremony of the symposium was assured by the Secretary General of the Ministry of Women and Family Affairs, Ms. Anissa Hassan Baton. It is also witnessed the participation of officials from the Ministry of Women and Families, but also representative of the National Agency for Information System. This event aims to raise children's awareness of the harm of internet and to highlight clear and reassuring information about the issues surrounding the cyberspace while providing tangible tools to make it a space in which children can be safe. This topic brought together all the ministries involved in this initiative to bring the largest number of young people across the region to educate them about the danger of the internet and social networks. Within the framework of the presence of a high-ranking delegation from the American company known as CWP to the country on a working visit, he organized a training workshop to explain the various projects implemented by the American company at the global level, their capability and the cost of financing each project. This workshop was inaugurated by the Minister of Energy in charge of natural resources, Mr. Yunus Ali Gidi, referring to the energy potential of Djibouti and said, "We are happy to work and give all our support to this company to implement its project. The American company signed a memorandum of understanding with the Ministry of Energy on the fight of the last December to install a power plant powered by solar and wind energy in the capacity of 10 gigawatts within 10 years to produce green hydrogen. Two sites have also been selected that will undergo and these studies in order to find the potential of this project. And now the Ministry of Youth and Culture organized this Thursday morning at the Campasky Palace Hotel an event dedicated to the conclusion of the National Artists and the Mother Language Week under the slogans of using technology in the service of artists and multilingual learning. The ceremony was present over by the Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed, the Minister of Youth and Culture Ms. Hibo Mumin Asowe, and many members of the government. The ceremony began with a recitation of verses of the Holy Quran, and then folk dances and song were presented by the Djiboutian artists. During this celebration, the participants watched a visual presentation on various activities that were carried out during the National Artist and Mother Language Week, which was planned in advance. And at the end of this event, full of activities, many awards were distributed to people who distinguished themselves for their continuous work from the various departments of the Ministry of Youth and Culture, composer and including Mr. Ahmed Dini and Adan Farah and winners from the Mother Tongue competition. The world's leading company in the field of fights a growing hotel signed an agreement with the Salam real estate company to develop and operate the city center complex, a luxury hotel complex located in the heart of the capital. And the heart, sorry, for the capital, especially on Airport Road, having become one of the major owners and operators of the international accommodation facilities. Singaporean company is launching its first property in Djibouti and its 12 in Africa with 83 real estate units consisting of the studios and one bedrooms and two bedroom apartment in the city center Djibouti complex will offer upscale comforts. The soon to open hotel will feature a wide range of facilities, including a stage of the art gym, the large meeting rooms, but also event space and a restaurant. A 7.8 magnitude earthquake which struck southern Turkey and neighboring Syria on Monday killed more than 4,300 people and injured thousands in two countries. It also caused great damage, thousands of building collapse, and also the head of the Arta Geophysical Monitoring Center provide an update on the earthquake that hit Turkey and Syria after the devastating earthquake that struck southern Turkey on Monday. 10 of 1,000 buildings and homes collapsed in seconds. In addition, the head of the Arta Geophysical observatory confirmed the impossible connection between the weak waves of where they fell on territory of Djibouti and a violent earthquake that strike in Turkey. The Arta Geophysical Observatory attached to the Djibouti Center for Studies and Researchers whose main task is to monitor the seismic activities of the Republic of Djibouti recorded at the moderate earthquake of 4.3 on the Richter scale on Wednesday, January 18 at 7:30 p.m. local time. This was located 23 kilometers north of Djibouti at the depth of 5 kilometers. This earthquake could have generate intensity fell in areas close to the center of the country. And for the international scenes, a hope of finding more survivors under the rubble demolition 3 days after the catastrophic of earthquake in Turkey and Syria, which claimed more than 16,000 lives and left tens of thousands injured, but also its effect spread to millions of people in the two countries. Turkish disaster and emergency management authorities announced the end of the rescued work for the people attached and affected by the earthquake in the city of Turkey, but also the largest number of victims was recorded in Turkey. This is it for this edition. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful evening.